Mega Blaziken is broken, okay? With its insane ability, expanded moveset, and its great stats, this thing is so hard to beat at points. It can sweep all types of teams, and for the majority of the time, there is nothing you can do about it. So anyone using this Pokemon to get easy wins should be ashamed of themselves. Including me, because I'm a freaking jackass. All kidding aside, this thing, it is pretty broken. But there are ways to beat it. And I do have a few Pokemon that I'll be able to recommend to you today that are going to be able to help counter this thing when you face it. The first Pokemon I'm going to recommend against Blaziken is going to be Toxapex, and I think that's pretty obvious. This is a typical stall/wall Pokemon with water and poison and a great ability that, I mean, Blaziken really just doesn't have much for this thing. Sure, Blaziken could run like Earthquake or maybe Thunder Punch or stuff like that, but you already have to save one move for Protect, and then the other two are obviously going to be probably Flare Blitz and Close Combat. And that's assuming that you're not going to be running a Swords Dance setup here. So after all of that, maybe you can fit in a Thunder Punch or a Knockoff or an Earthquake. And most people, I feel like, are going with Knockoff. Even again, Thunder Punch isn't going to be doing too much with it being unstabbed. So this thing is very bulky, it will be able to counter Blaziken just fine, and I think this is the best wall for Blaziken. Now a lot of movesets out there don't even actually have this thing getting a water type offensive move, which I feel is just wrong. You got things out there like Excadrill, Tyranitar, Charizard Y, that I feel like you kind of have to have a water move on this. Now for whatever reason, it doesn't get Scald. I'm 99% sure in previous generations it did, and it must have been an egg move or something, so now it just doesn't get it. So you're going to have to resort to this being a physically attacking wall instead of a specially attacking wall. Which, I mean, honestly is fine. Liquidation gets the job done, it's pretty powerful, it can take out Mega Blaziken in a hit or two. But again, I think it is necessary to have a water type move on this Pokemon. Baneful Bunker is pretty obvious, it's Protect, but instead physical Pokemon could potentially get poisoned, so it's helpful there. Recover, I think, is also necessary. You could run Toxapex without Recover since it gets Regenerator, but in my opinion, these games aren't long enough to be having a lot of switch outs, so I feel like Recover is still a must. And then for the fourth move, I just went with Toxic. You could go with something else if you wanted to. You could have this thing mixed if you wanted and have it have Hex, but there's a bunch of different options for that, and it's just whatever you really prefer. The next one I want to go over is Gyarados and Mega Gyarados. My goodness, this thing is underrated. I mean, I just don't feel like we have enough people talking about how good Gyarados/Mega Gyarados is in Pokemon Champions, especially for single battling. This thing just wrecks teams, and it can pretty much shut down Blaziken. Now again, if Blaziken has Thunder Punch, that could be a problem, but again, it is pretty rare, and if you're bringing out Gyarados on a Blaziken, it's already going to be -1 in attack, so I'm sure it'll probably live. And then after that, you could Mega Evolve and go into Mega Gyarados to where a second Thunder Punch or anything like that wouldn't be as effective. You could run some bulk with Gyarados if you wanted to, if you're really afraid of that, but again, I just don't see Mega Blaziken too much with Thunder Punch. In my personal opinion, I think Knockoff is the clear move to be able to use for majority of those Psychic, Ghost, bulky, Prankster type walls out there. I'm going to talk about Gyarados in another video, just again because of how this thing could really set you up for success, all the way potentially to the top of the Champions tier. But for right now, this thing is a pretty good sweeper. You're going to want to run Waterfall, Earthquake, Dragon Dance, and Ice Fang, in my opinion. You could switch one of those out for Crunch, I guess, but I feel like that's going to be your best moveset for this thing. And it is going to take some prediction skill, because you don't want to Mega Evolve Gyarados right away. A lot of the times, you're going to want to Dragon Dance a few times as regular Gyarados, and then Mega Evolve after that, so that way you're not as susceptible to fighting moves. Otherwise, Jolly, full speed, full attack, it's pretty simple and straightforward on that. This thing is going to do a good job against Blaziken. And the last one I'm going to recommend is going to be Basculegion. Now, I talked about Basculegion before with Mega Staraptor. This thing is going to be very useful against Mega Blaziken, with it being Ghost type, again, for close combat. Now, close combat, not the same effect that it has on Mega Staraptor, to where every time you use close combat, it's going to boost itself in special defense and defense instead of hurting itself. But again, if you're predicting a fairly common Flare Blitz or close combat from Blaziken, this thing can take it, and it'll be fine. You have to watch out for Knockoff, of course. But as long as you're not expecting your opponent to go for knockoff at that point, you can bring this thing in, and then you can hit it back with an Aqua Jet. I still personally am going to run mine at Adamant, just again because it does get Aqua Jet. You know, I run Scarf Chomp a lot with Jolly, but that's just because Chomp doesn't have a priority move. But since Basculegion does, I'd rather get this thing's attack stat as high as you possibly can, just for situations like this, because I want Aqua Jet to be doing the absolute most damage I can to Blaziken, potentially knocking it out as well. If for whatever reason you're expecting Mega Blaziken or any other Pokemon to switch out, again you got Flip Turn, which is very useful, Wave Crash, which again is Waterfall, but just a little bit better, and then Last Respects, to where if you're down to your last Pokemon, which is pretty often in singles champions because there's only 3, that Last Respect is going to be doing a ton of damage. So look, this thing is certainly beatable. It is pretty overpowered and it can cause a lot of problems, but with having so many more options in today's metagame than in previous generations, you're going to have a little bit of an easier time being able to manage this thing. As with most Pokemon in this metagame. Except for Charizard Y, I don't know what the hell to do about that thing. I think we're all just freaking screwed, man. Make sure to leave a like if you guys enjoyed the video, and to subscribe for more Pokemon Champions and other Pokemon content, and I will see you guys next time. I'm pretty sure this cat is getting nightmares about Charizard Y2. Or he's just dreaming about birds or some nonsense.